we've talked a lot about this in between media this season. There's going to be curveballs coming your way.
Hate's a strong word. I dislike Kirk Cousins more than probably any other quarterback in the league.
I get a little bit of that rookie-itis, you know?
I would have said, I would love some of what you're smoking.
Even though I strayed, I'm still stuck between an interpretation, what it all means. Can I make a difference for something different? My mind in prison, then I saw the vision. Played the field, it's no competition. Found success through the repetition. If it's impossible, stick to the mission. I'm just cruising through on my way to get it. I found myself somewhere in between. Yeah, I found myself somewhere in between. Found myself somewhere in between. Yeah, I found myself somewhere in between. The In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
So one thing that really sets us apart here is we're not afraid to talk about other things that maybe aren't super fantasy related.
Do what you can to become a better person, to become a better human.
All right, it is February 1st, 2022. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, the season finale of Season 3, baby. We are locked and loaded. The last time we're going to truly dive into the 2021 season without looking ahead too much to the next season. I'm Seth, joined by my guys here, Nate Pulvote, Scott Rainier. Guys, hopefully we can make this better than some of the TV show season finales I've seen, because those things end up being a letdown.
I want to jump right in on that one. People may know on Twitter, I use lots of TV quotes and all that kind of stuff, joke around. You may have realized by now I'm a big Seinfeld fan. The Seinfeld finale for me was probably one of the most disappointing events in my entire life, to be honest.
That was so disappointing.
I do have a little bit of a theory on it, though, and I think I've come around on it a little bit. Because the other thing I really don't like about TV shows is when they do their greatest, 100th episode, greatest hits, and they just show a bunch of clips. I just skip past those. But that's because it's 2022, and I can watch any show as many times as I want. Back then, when they were coming out, in the 90s, when they were just coming out once a week, you didn't have the opportunity to go back and watch every single episode. Yeah. So those greatest hits clips were pretty cool. So, I mean, I do give it to Seinfeld. Their last episode, they did actually bring the actors who played all those parts. So it wasn't your typical clip show. But I really wanted to see that series just end with them in the apartment, like nothing special.
Not in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was just, granted, they ended with the line about the button on the shirt that they started with. So they did pay out homage with that. But it really just kind of turned into a clip show in a way with the actors there in a courtroom. And I was not a fan. Go ahead.
You know what one kind of tore me up, I'd say? Lost. Do you guys ever watch Lost?
That's a pretty hot topic one too, for sure.
That one is absolutely awful to end a show like that and just kill off everyone, like pretty much. Is that
what happened?
I mean, they don't kill off everyone, but they kill off the main character who kind of spoiler. I am sorry if you haven't watched Lost season finale at this point. It's been 12 years.
You're not going to watch it.
Yeah,
there's a shelf life on spoilers.
Yeah, the other I think awful one. It's a recent Netflix show, and it honestly just burned me. But it was called Friends from College. It had
Keegan, Keegan-Michael Key was in it.
The lady from the Marvel movies and from How I Met Your Mother. But I mean, so did you and Jen watch that one, Nate?
Yes.
Awful ending. Everyone just
there was no ending.
Everyone just hates each other at the end. And
but the worst part. So I saw this on the show sheet, and Jen and I talked about it. The worst part about it was that show wasn't supposed to end. They were setting it up for another season, and then they just didn't get renewed. Yeah. So there was no ending.
Yeah.
I got another one real quick, and this is a little bit of a flip on the concept. One of the best finales I saw, they ruined it by coming back for another season, and that was Scrubs. Scrubs had one of the best finales where they did series wraps for each actor, and it was really emotional, and I loved that show. It was that was just such a great ending. And then they came back for another season, and it was terrible.
Oh, it was some of the worst.
Oh my! I didn't watch it.
television
I watched
have ever
5 minutes of the first episode, and I was like,
Yep.
nope. But it's
Yep.
still it sullied that finale for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we will try to do better than those TV shows. No guaranteed, though. Got a lot of people in the chat here tonight. We got Nick Gardner. We got our guy Craig in here as well. We got Debbie in here as well. So exciting night. We got Andrew. A lot of the normal in-between family members in here today. So we appreciate all the support, guys. Off-season schedule going to be dropping next week. So we will be back here on the podcast. We get 2 weeks off. That is our break for the season. We get 2 weeks off. We're going to be back on February 23rd. Nate, Jen, Scott, all 4 of us. Kyle in the back end as always as well. Same place, same time, same bad channel, other than instead of Tuesdays, we're going to be Wednesday nights now. We're going to have our NASCAR shows and our golf shows on Tuesday night, though. So check in. You'll be here with either Nate, Connor, and Bo, or myself, Jared, and Elliot. So a lot of fun stuff coming your guys' way this offseason. Guys, also last week, we just dropped the In-Between Family, baby. And that has been an absolute blast interacting with a lot of our closest audience members over the last couple of weeks. So I've had a blast with that. The sport's been awesome.
Yeah. We're just like palling around on Discord, giving advice on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's a good deal. Yeah.
Can I say one more thing about Lost?
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to say, like, the finale was disappointing. I don't really know how they could have, I didn't have a solution to how they would do it. But
No.
I will say, as far as looking back on my TV watching career, Lost was a pivotal moment in TV for me when everything kind of changed as far as what TV was after Lost. Lost blew my mind when I watched it.
Oh, yeah. I was like 10, Scott. I was like 10 watching that show, bro. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was just like I was so engrossed in what was going on.
Yeah.
It was just so unlike the TV I had seen. And now, like, every show's like that, and it's awesome. But that was one of the pioneers for sure.
On the new Washington name, Nick Gardner asking us, quick question, what's your thoughts on the new Washington team name? I didn't see this. Did this just drop?
Yeah, I prefer wearing. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Scott. I like what you're saying.
I prefer wearing underwear. That's their new name, right? The Commandos?
The Commandos.
Am I right?
Is that what it is?
No, it's Commanders.
Is it Commanders?
It's Commanders.
Okay. It's whatever. I think they should have stayed Washington football team.
Okay. I'm okay with no, dude. I thought that was a bad idea, Washington football team. I don't know.
I liked it.
Yeah, I'm cool with Commanders. I think that's pretty dope. I like that. I mean, it makes sense.
I'm still abbreviating them as WFT on every single spreadsheet. I'm not changing that.
So what will it be now? WC?
No, a lot of sites have Washington as WAS.
WAS, we'll go back to that. Yeah, no doubt. Well, guys, let's go ahead and jump into it tonight. We're going to talk about everything we saw from the AFC and the NFC championships over the weekend. We're going to do it our style, headline hijinks style, that is. And headline hijinks tonight is presented by Underdog Fantasy, as it has been throughout the season. And guys, if you have not been playing Underdog Fantasy, now is the time. They still got some playoff best ball. They still got some 2022 best ball going on. So if you need to scratch that itch, because I think I do, honestly. I think I could scratch that itch a little bit. Nate, we've been kind of scratching that throughout the early postseason here, but I think we're going to do it again here. So head over to Underdog Fantasy. Use that promo code IBT. You're going to get 100% instant deposit match up to $100, baby. Courtesy of IBT, courtesy of our guys over at Underdog Fantasy. Get in there. We got pick'em parlays that we feature every Sunday on the DFS tailgate. There's so much different things you can do on there, guys. So get over there at Underdog Fantasy. Take care of business there. And let's go ahead and get into some headline hijinks. I think eventually one day, for our audio listeners tonight, those who are joining us, the headline hijinks drop. It has a video montage with it, and two of the quarterbacks on it featured are Cam Newton and Big Ben, both probably no longer in the league in 2022. So
just in time for some off-season edits.
Yeah, a little.
Did you guys know that Big Ben and I are literally the exact same age?
Same day?
Same day, same year.
Same for me with Tom Brady. No,
That's crazy.
Just the same age, the same birthday.
Well, speaking of Tom Brady, guys, let's just jump in there. I think that's the perfect segue before we break down AFC and NFC championship games. The news initially dropped. I was actually on the phone with my sister during this news, and Katie saw it first, and she's like, wow, like the fantasy world just blew up when you were on that phone call. I was like trying to guess what happened, and I couldn't believe it. And I want to reference Jen, Nate, your wife's headline last week on the show. She called this. We were giving advice to these teams and these players after the 2021 season that lost in the divisional round, and her headline was "Bye Brady," and it came true. Nate, you guys thought this would happen. I am stunned.
I was more shocked than Jen, but I guess it does make sense. Like at a certain point, you're going to be 45 next season.
Yeah.
He can't feel good. Like his body can't feel good right now.
Yeah. Probably.
He's got kids. He's got a wife. She clearly wants him to be done. They don't need the money.
Yeah.
Like she's worth more than he is. They have almost $1 billion. He did everything he could do. And if his heart wasn't in it, I just don't think his heart was in it. So good for him. Heck
I'm
of
a
a
little
career.
surprised. Like if this was this, I mean, who knows? Who knows what Brady was thinking a year ago, about retiring. But it seems to me if he was pretty close, if it was imminent that he was going to make this decision, going out with a Super Bowl victory would have been the way to go. And unless he really thought they would win it again this year, I don't know.
I think he thought they were going to win it again this year.
Yeah, that's
probably true. I mean, they almost.
Yeah, they were close. They were honestly close. I think they would have probably beat the 49ers if they were head to head. What does this mean for fantasy, guys? Like honestly, obviously we don't know what the implications are going to be. I think at the end of the day that, because Nate, we talked about in the Discord earlier today. Nate, you thought maybe they'd be more going for a rebuild. I think they're still in contention mode with those defensive pieces that they've paid. They have a young offensive line. They still have Mike Evans under contract. The only thing they're missing realistically is a quarterback. They need to get Chris Godwin back if they can, or and maybe another tight end, because all three of these tight ends are unrestricted free agents after the season.
Well, Gronk hinted at possibly playing even if Brady retired. So Gronk may stay.
Yeah.
But I think it really depends on – they could go out and get, I don't know, like Jameis Winston or – I'm kidding.
No,
I'm so kidding. I can't believe it took you that long to make a face, Seth.
But what about Jimmy G?
I knew you were
What
kidding.
about Jimmy G? Honestly,
no, not Jimmy G for anybody. He's not a good quarterback.
All right.
Here's my take. I mean, yeah, Jimmy G could very well. That's a possibility, but I don't think that makes them a contender.
Nope.
I mean, that's the thing is I'll believe it when I see it that Gronk's going to stick around. And,
Me too.
Keeping Godwin is no easy task at this point.
Gonna
And I mean,
Jared
it's just a
Stidham.
sheer drop from Brady to whoever comes in.
Yeah.
I don't want to just say they're in a full rebuild and now they're a dumpster fire, but it's really going to hinge on who they can get. And if it's somebody like Jimmy G, I don't see that. I don't see that being enough of a difference for them to stay at the level they're at.
I mean, it probably wins them the division.
Yeah, the division is pretty weak right now. But
outside of that,
I'm trying to think right now from a dynasty perspective, you kind of just have to hold these pieces. We don't know the future of Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. We really don't know the future of either with the quarterback situation too. So
pour one out for the dynasty players that took Brady, took a risk on Brady lasting longer than a year this past year.
Agreed.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Quarterback retires off your dynasty team.
Yeah, agreed. Guys, let's move forward to the Super Bowl here. We had two incredible games here over the weekend. The Bengals, they come back. They defeat the Chiefs 27-24 in overtime. Don't get the coin flip. Yeah, don't get the coin flip. I mean, miraculous game by Joe Burrow, 250 and 2 touchdowns for him. Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, all the boys show up for the Bengals. And Patrick Mahomes, 3 touchdowns in this game, but fell flat in the second half. Once again to the Bengals, 2 costly INTs despite the 3 touchdowns. And then on the other side as well, guys, the Rams. the Rams, they beat the 49ers 20-17. And they were down this entire game, but I think everyone kind of knew that they still had a chance with Matthew Stafford at the end of the day versus Jimmy Garoppolo. At the end of the day, Jimmy Garoppolo, he turned into Jimmy Girafalo, as we call him here at the podcast. Stafford, though, that connection with Cooper Kupp, man, got him through once again. 372 yards, 2 touchdowns, did have the 1 pick. But Nate, what are your overall thoughts here on these games we witnessed over the weekend?
They were both very good games. I think the better team won in both instances. Cincinnati's just firing on all cylinders right now. That offense is electric, and their defense played really well in the second half. I like Zach Taylor. I think he's a really good coach. He made adjustments, really helped them win that game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Burrow, man, dude, if there was an award for swaggiest person on earth, it's probably Joe Burrow. Dude, his confidence is just like, you can see that whole team is just like ready to run through a brick wall for him. But then also Matthew Stafford, like, this is his first Super Bowl. Like, woo. And that was a much tougher game against San Francisco than I thought it was going to be. San Francisco's defense played well. All in all, they were great games. They were fun to watch. The better team won in both instances, and I'm excited for this Super Bowl.
Yeah, me too. I want to address the comment about overtime because I saw it was a pretty obvious place to go, because one thing that's been awesome about the Bengals is they've basically just been bucking every trend there is, starting with them being the Bengals, and that there's been no bungles. There's been no bungles. Yeah. But then, the way they played at Arrowhead in the playoffs, they lost the coin toss and still won. You know what I mean? They're just like, it doesn't matter with this team.
Right.
But as far as the overtime complaining, like, my take on that is my issues with the overtime. Yes, they were, a spotlight was shown on it because of the intensity and emotion of the Bills-Chiefs game and the way that everybody thought the Bills should have gotten a chance.
Yeah.
But the way I looked at it, it had nothing to do with like who I was rooting for. I still just looked at it as, I don't think the system is right. It wasn't because the Bills lost. It's just because I don't think it's right. So the fact that this time around, the team that didn't get the coin flip ended up winning, to me, that still doesn't, I'm not going to complain about it, but it doesn't necessarily change anything for me as far as my issues with overtime. So in this case, I happen to be rooting for the Bengals, so I loved it. But that's my take on the overtime thing. Like, for me, it wasn't about it being the Bills, because everybody rushed to like, oh, the Chiefs asked about changing the overtime rules a couple of years ago, and the Bills voted not. And to me, it had nothing to do with the Chiefs and the Bills. It's about the concept. So
I think they'll still address overtime possibly in the offseason. I don't know if anything will change. We'll see. Overall, though, just a great time here in the AFC, NFC championships. We've seen Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp just mature beyond belief. I don't know if any of you guys saw Cooper Kupp and Bobby Tree's moment after that game, but that was special. Bigger than football, man. That's what Bobby Trees was telling Cooper Kupp, and I believe that. And Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, this entire T. Higgins, Joe Mixon, all these guys have evolved into elite players. The defense, Sam Hubbard, they've been absolutely outstanding.
That play he made on Mahomes, when Mahomes was dancing around, just assuming I'm Mahomes, I'll succeed here, and you could see it. He was the spy. He was the spy on that play, and you could just see it. He made a decision, no hesitation, and he just bolted for Mahomes and made him fumble. I mean, like, if the Bengals had fallen on the ball there, it'd have been over. It was.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been treated the last 6 games that we've been able to watch. It's crazy how good they've been. It's just crazy.
Yeah, these games have been incredible. Some of the best I've seen in years.
Yeah.
I think it just speaks to the NFL, the product right now, the quality of players on both sides of the ball. Guys, let's break down this headline hijink style. I'll throw out my headline first. For me, and I'm going to show my age a little bit, but there was a funny TikTok going on a couple weeks ago. And have you guys seen the one with Joe Biden, Joe Biden, take me out to dinner? That one, I'm referring to, the Bing Bong.
Nope.
Staten Island. The saying Bing Bong now.
I've heard it.
Just because it's Toronto Dave.
Okay, it's from a TikTok basically, but someone remade it and they said, "Hey, Joe Burrow, take me to the Super Bowl, baby." So, I honestly, it might sound crazy, Nate, but you called it during. We had an episode before Wild Card Weekend. They were your pick to go to the Super Bowl. It was ballsy then. I think whether I want to or not, I'm taking Joe Burrow and the Bengals in the Super Bowl, man. I think there's just something about it. I think Matthew Stafford's time will come. I think the Rams are probably the better team. But I don't know, man. The way they disassembled the Chiefs in the second half, I think this team is special. I think Zach Taylor has one more trick up his sleeves. The Rams are home, so the Rams could get a little complacent here. I just think at the end of the day, looking at matchups on the offensive side of the ball, I just don't think the Rams secondary outside of Jalen Ramsey can stop T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
I mean, for me, this game could really go either way. I feel like I think it's going to be because we thought, most people thought that we were crazy to say that Cincinnati had a shot to win last weekend.
Yeah.
So this game really could go either way. My headline is Escape from Detroit, Stafford triumphant in LA. Kind of a nod to the old Escape from LA movie with good old Kurt Russell. This is Stafford's time, man. This dude has suffered through terrible teams his whole career. He finally gets somewhere. They get OBJ. They get Von Miller. Even when Bobby Trees goes down, that offense is still playing well. They get Cam Akers back. This LA team is a team of destiny, I think. This is Stafford's year. Burrow will be back, and I would love to see Burrow win it, but I think this is LA's year.
Okay, my turn? Okay.
Yeah, your turn.
So I'm going to try and do the voice. I'm going to butcher it. Give a little shout out to one of my favorite movies of all time. Hey, Shooter, you want to go celebrate Super Bowl victory at Red Lobster? So that's Shooter McGavin being asked by his little puppet in Happy Gilmore if he wants to eat at Red Lobster. And as you know, Evan McPherson's been nicknamed Shooter. Yeah. So I am going with the Bengals. Personally, that's who I'm picking to win the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be an amazing game. It is, when you looked at the slate, the start of the playoffs, it is definitely not who I pictured playing each other, which I kind of love that. It's kind of just a new matchup for everyone. Mm-hmm. It's not, it's not Bucks Patriots, which I would have thrown my TV out and not watched anything if it was Bucks Patriots. But it's really hard to tell. The reason I'm picking the Bengals is because I think one of the things in the playoffs that happens is a team just catches fire, and regardless of anything, regardless of odds, anything that happened even last week, they have the momentum. And I think the Bengals have that. I think the last two games for the Rams, they've made way more mistakes than the Bengals, and they've still kind of
four fumbles against Tampa Bay, and then last week they were early, just struggling all sides of the ball. Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, I think Cincinnati's coming in with all the momentum. That's my personal opinion. The Rams, here's the thing. I'm a Seahawks guy, so I'm not a big fan of the Rams, but I love Matthew Stafford. So, and I think that him getting to a Super Bowl in his first year out of Detroit, I think it's awesome. It's not about that. I really am fine with either of these teams winning the Super Bowl. The storyline for each team is great, but I think Cincinnati is if there is such thing as a team of destiny, I think it's Cincinnati. It reminds me a little bit painfully of the 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers, who came into the playoffs as a wild card and ended up beating some team. I can't remember who in the Super Bowl. Pretty big upset.
Sean Alexander and the boys, baby.
But it's kind of like that. You know what I mean? I mean, the Bengals didn't come in as a wild card. That's not what I'm saying. But I didn't give them. I mean, personally, I didn't give them a chance last week. I didn't think they'd go into Arrowhead and win. I really didn't.
I love it, man. Can you win on swagger alone?
That's the other thing.
Yes.
Typically, maybe I'm getting old. Me and Nate, showing our age by having no idea what TikTok you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
But maybe I'm getting old. But for some reason, sometimes too much swagger just rubs me the wrong way. But with Joe Burrow, I love it. I love it.
I'm
More.
a Pittsburgh,
I
I'm a
want more of
Pittsburgh
it.
Steelers AFC North fan, you know, and I love Joe Burrow, man. I think he is like I think everyone does. Like he won for America last week. Like let's be honest about that, boys. He won for America. This man put not just the Bengals on his back, not just Western Ohio on his back. This man put goddamn America on his back. He took down Brittany Mahomes and Jackson Mahomes and the entire Mahomes clan over there. You know, Chris Jones over there saying, "Oh, not 5, not 6, 7 rings." Oh no, baby. Joe Burrow and the boys.
Man.
America.
I didn't know Chris Jones said that.
Look back a couple.
I mean, I know where it originated, and it's kind of a silly thing to steal and say, but whatever.
Well, guys, let's move forward. I think we've previewed the Super Bowl. Scott and I, we're gonna ride the hot hand with the Bengals. Nate's probably gonna take maybe the better roster, better coach team, better overall odds with the Rams.
The team that's actually gonna win.
Yet Nate was the one person who had the Bengals getting this far, and now he turns on them. So I appreciate that, Nate.
I bought you a cake. It's in the mail. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Guys, let's go ahead and get into the temperature check presented by Stevens Quality Barbering Services. And I think the biggest advertisement I can do for our guys, Stevens Quality Barbering Services, is just check out the hair tonight, folks. It was like last podcast, like at least 1.5 inches longer. It is short. We were looking pristine today. Had a little photo shoot. Got some new thumbnails coming your way in 2022 from IBT Media. So, things are looking good over here. Check out Stevens Quality Barbering Services in Kerwinsville, PA. Whether you're in Western PA, Central PA, get over there. Noah's going to hook you up with a quality haircut at a quality price, and you're just having an overall quality experience there at SQBS. So visit stevensquality.genbook.com today. Book that appointment. Get in there with Noah. We thank him for his services, making a lot of us here at IBT look better than we actually do. So let's go ahead and bring in our next segment. We're going to get some things started with temperature check.
Temperature check.
That's really spicy. Holy shit.
All right, baby. Guys, we do temperature a lot here. Right now, we're going to take the temperature of some players who we were in and out on in 2021, and we're going to talk about whether we're in and out or in or out on them here in the new year. First, I kind of wanted to ask you guys, like, what's the hottest pepper you guys think you've ever ate?
I don't really know, to be honest. I'm not a big pepper guy, so I don't know.
Nate?
So
Final answer.
Bishop's Crown, which is kind of close to a ghost pepper.
Okay.
They're pretty hot. Just recently, this past summer, I had one, and then I have a bunch of them frozen, and I have a bunch of ghost peppers frozen. I'm gonna make hot sauce.
Nice.
But that Bishop's Crown was hot.
I believe it.
Actually, I take that back. I've had a Scotch bonnet, so that's the hottest.
Okay. Kyle, audio editor, producer in the back end. Any hot pepper experience from your end? I know how the Irish like to get down with those.
I don't know who told you that. Hottest pepper I've eaten, maybe like a bell pepper,
Wow. Wow. Afraid of the heat, are you?
Probably a jalapeno. Not really a big pepper guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I mean, I'll eat jalapenos all day, but if I ate something hotter than that at some point, I didn't remember it or save it for a potential podcast question.
Word. No, understandable. Scott, I will ask you this question, man.
Sure.
Who was one player that you were out on in 2021 and what's your outlook for them in 2022?
So one of my outs that didn't pan out for me was Josh Jacobs. And it wasn't necessarily that I was just, leaving him for dead, but I had him ranked as I think mid to low RB2.
RB2, so did I.
The reason I chose Josh Jacobs for this one is because I've been digging into running backs since the season ended, and Josh Jacobs was take lock for me. I made a decision at some point to not really like him, and then
Probably after his shitty 2019
use the lack of targets, the lack of receiving work as a narrative as my reason. And so then I just never would draft him, and I would make little snide comments when people did, and I can't really chalk it up to anything other than take luck. You know, I'm not sitting here saying Josh Jacobs is an RB1, but he was one of the safest RB2s in quite some time this year. He was one of only 2 running backs in the entire top 36 who never was outside the top 36 in any week he played this year.
Damn.
So he was kind of the epitome of a fairly capped ceiling but very high floor running back in PPR. And I mean, granted, his targets and receptions did go up, and they've gone up every year he's played. This is his 3rd year; they went up, so it's not a huge sample size to really see if it's a trend. But you know, he finished right around the end of right around a low end RB1. He's a touchdown guy. His work in the red zone hasn't really changed. Kenyon Drake, even when he was there, didn't take away the work I think people were expecting him to take away. So I just think he's a safe running back. And the thing about him too is if his targets and receptions do climb again, I mean, we'll see. They have a new coach. They have a new coach who wants to really tap into Derek Carr's talents. Fancy that, a coach that wants to like build around what the quarterback can do.
I'm excited for Josh McDaniels. I think
too.
it could be good things. Scott, don't be too hard on yourself. You were the highest out of our 3 rankers, me, you, and Dave. You had him at RB19. I was at 22. Dave was at 26 on him.
Okay.
So
yeah. So like I said, this wasn't necessarily about me burying him. This was more about, I know how I felt about him, and I'm taking it as an opportunity to, because that's one thing I've done in the last year is I've really had to dive into like, okay, am I being objective, or do I just not like this person for some reason? You know?
Yeah. Nate, who was a player that you were out on in 2021 that you're back in on, or you're back out again on here in the new season?
Say that again.
Someone you were out on in 2021, and you're either in or out on them this season.
So I get what you're saying. The words aren't making sense in my brain for some reason. I think the worst player that I was out on.
You got a kid.
I know, dude. It's been a long day. I've been writing like all day. My worst out was Derek Carr. I mean, he was the overall, what was it? I think QB7.
What Derek?
No,
Carr?
QB 13. But he was being drafted at QB like 23 or 24. So the value for where you were getting him for what he ended up being was, in considering the mess that was Las Vegas, the fact that he even got that team to the playoffs is pretty impressive. I mean, you lose your wide receiver 1 halfway through the season forever. Now you had on Hunter Renfrow. Kenyon Drake wasn't effective. Darren Waller's out most of the season. Bryan Edwards isn't doing anything. You're relying on Zay Jones and Hunter Renfrow and Foster Moreau.
How did he finish as the QB 13? He was awful there. Like I just looked, and you're right.
So
I had no idea. Like,
so here's the thing. I had to do kind of a dive on him today
because he was atrocious in the back half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't great, but he had some really good games at the beginning of the season, and he peppered in some 20-point performances here and there. He wasn't phenomenal, but he was good enough to be QB 13.
Yeah, I'm with you though, Nate. I don't know.
I started writing about him, bagging on him, but then as I started getting deeper into the stats, I was like, oh, I can't bag on him.
Yeah.
He actually had a decent year. So
yeah. Nick Garner saying that James Conner was his worst out here this season. That's a lot of people's too.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I was out on him. That's a really good one. A player that I was out on and I actually want to say it was a bad one, but a player that I was out on, which was kind of a good thing, was Saquon Barkley, and we had this ranking discussion a couple weeks ago, Scott, and I had him as an RB2, low end in the RB. I think it was 22 or 23. I had him ranked, and I was just worried. I couldn't make the numbers go any higher for him, and I tried and I tried and I tried and I couldn't. And like the fact is that Devonta Booker was a better fantasy running back when given the opportunity than Saquon Barkley this season. It just didn't go your way if you drafted Saquon, and I'm sorry for your loss. And maybe next season you'll listen to me. No, I'm just kidding. But actually, I actually think in 2022, this is the time that I'm in on Saquon this year, boys. Already, I'm back, baby. We are Wolfpack, baby.
New coach.
I just started working for Fantasy Med Analytics here in the last week, Sports Med Analytics, that is. And one of my first assignments was editing a video about how ACLs in the second year, like Adrian Peterson, what he did off his ACL tear was like unprecedented. That doesn't normally happen. And normally, it takes 2 years to get back. What we saw Cooper Kupp do this season, he's a couple years off an ACL right now. So I'm thinking that Saquon, he's going to get back to normal right now. We got Brian Dable coming in from Buffalo. He did a lot with Devin Singletary this year. And, we were riding that hot hand, baby. I'm so sick of me talking about Devin.
I am so sick of listening to you talk about Devin Singletary, but I'll allow it one more time. It's fine.
So, but I'm just saying, I think right now I'm willing to take the risk on Saquon, given what his ADP is going to be. Right now, ECR for Fantasy Pros is going to be 27 overall, RB 15. That's according to their 2022. So for an RB2 price, you could get Saquon, and I think he still has RB1 upside. So I'm willing to take that shot in the middle of the third round for Saquon in 2022.
Yeah, that sounds a lot better. I was definitely one of the people that was too high. I mean, it seemed like it was either you were like, yep, he's going to be vintage Saquon, or it was like, nope, he's going to totally tank. It seemed like those were the two kind of options. And Seth, you were right. I mean, he totally tanked. I had him on one team, luckily, but as what happens in fantasy football, now he's become a deal.
Yeah. Yep. Nate, is there someone that you were out on last year that you might be pulling back in on?
Derek Carr.
Okay.
Just talked about.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anyone you were out on that you're that you're not in on again this year?
Christian McCaffrey.
You're staying away.
I'm staying away. Look, I hate when people say injury prone when there's no history or like reason to think that there's a reason that this person is continuing to get injured. But I'm telling you, Christian McCaffrey is going to be injury prone for the rest of his career. They overused him the first 3 seasons, and he's undersized for what they were asking him to do. He got beat up, man. He just got beat up, and his body is starting to break down. We've seen this before with players who Le'Veon Bell is a perfect example. They beat the hell out of him, and he is a quarter of the player that he was, or could be at this point in his career. It sucks, man, because I love Christian McCaffrey. He's a Colorado boy. I watched him play in high school. Like, his dad is a legend here.
Yeah.
Obviously, I love Christian McCaffrey, and I don't want this to be true, but Ron Rivera destroyed his body.
For the first round pick, are you just kind of out? Like because that's what he's going to cost. Like
there's no way I'm taking him in the first round.
Would you take him? Round. Would you take him in like the second if he happened to fall back? Like, no.
Mm-mm. He's too much of a liability. He could go out and have a huge season, but we're on year 3, year 2 of him not playing a full season.
Yeah, it's 2 years in a row. 2 years in a row. I would have a hard time not drafting him if he fell to the late first round. Scott, would you agree?
So yeah, I mean, I have the same concerns as you both probably know. I picked him first overall in our office league, IBT.
Mm-hmm. Oh, baby.
My
champion. Let's go.
Oh, really?
Nate and I are back-to-back now, baby.
And my season went to shit quickly. But I am not quite to the point where I am just done with CMC because I'm assuming he's going to get hurt again. I hear everything that Nate's saying, and it's a huge concern. It's a big risk. But a big risk of injury. I mean, he hasn't played that many seasons. It's not like we're on season 8. And if you're telling me I can have Le'Veon Bell's career, I'll take it. Le'Veon Bell had more than one really good season. So my deal with CMC, honestly, is he's the type of player where me personally, I'm hoping I'm around the 5th pick in the first round because I'll take CMC there. His ceiling, the potential for him to win you your league is enough for me to take that risk. And as we saw this year, there were plenty of other running backs drafted in that same general area who also shit the bed due to injury or due to whatever.
Oh yeah.
So I'm still just based on, I mean, I was doing a little bit of a deep dive on this a little while back, comparing him, Jonathan Taylor and RB1s and how many points do RB1s score and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, like, Jonathan Taylor is pretty much a pretty consensus RB1 right now overall.
I think he will be.
CMC's that year, his RB1 year was so much higher than JT.
Oh yeah,
in 2021. So that ceiling, it depends on how risky you want to be. It's a huge risk.
Yeah,
but are you?
I'm just not willing to take the risk.
Yeah, I think I am. So
Nate, what about a player you were in on this year, and what's your outlook for them next year?
Don't say Derek Carr.
It's always Derek Carr, guys.
Yes.
So I'm going to go with the worst player that I was in on, and that's going to be Sam Darnold. That did not pan out, man.
Yeah.
And I was taking him fairly early in some drafts just because I really thought that with Joe Brady and Matt Rule, he was going to be phenomenal. He was not, and I am out forever on Sam Darnold. Forever.
He's probably a back. I mean, he's a backup now at this point. He's a backup for the rest of his career. Like, he'll get another shot, maybe. Maybe it's a Ryan Tannehill situation. Maybe he finds his way to another team eventually and figures it out. But I mean, it's been 3 really bad seasons for Sam Darnold. So I think it's time to
Trubisky should be starting over Darnold before Darnold.
Yeah. Oh,
100%.
100%.
No, Mariota.
Nate, I agree with you though, man. I was excited for Sam Darnold. I was excited for this entire Carolina offense. And I mean, Joe Brady didn't even make it out of November. So and Joe Brady's a good coach, man. Like I think Matt Rule might be more the issue than he is personally.
Well, rumors are that Matt Rule might be heading to Michigan anyway. So,
ooh, all right. Nate's in on that wire. He's in on that wire. I would say probably, like, you guys know, one of my big ends was David Montgomery, and I feel like I really can't judge. Like, I don't know how to feel. Like, how would you guys feel if you drafted Dave Montgomery this year?
Well, I did in Scott Fishbowl. So
how do you feel?
Okay, here's the deal. It did not work out necessarily for where you drafted him. But if you actually look at his numbers in games played, he was a very good fantasy running back.
Low end RB1.
He just missed so much time with injury.
Yeah, he was a low end RB1. Yep. I think points per game he was RB13.
Yeah, right around there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, yeah, he missed 4 games.
Yeah.
But when he played 18, 22, 28, he had that 28-point game against Arizona.
A couple stinkers kind of when he first came back, but it was from an MCL injury. So,
and also, like, I feel like everyone in that Chicago offense gets a pass except for Andy Dalton for last season.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Because Matt Nagy might be – I just feel like he's one of the worst play callers in the NFL and, like, one of the worst game managers in the NFL.
I thought he was good before this year, though. Like, I'll be honest. Like,
dude, but he fell apart.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just, like, I don't know what to even make of Monty this year. Like, I'm in because, like, again, it's a fair price. It's a better price than last year. Overall, right now, Fantasy Pros ECR, they got him at overall at 30, RB15 right now. So right behind Saquon, kind of, which I think, I'm willing to pay that price for him again. Mm-hmm. But, I just think they need a lot of help here in Chicago. They need to retool that offensive line. They need to get some help outside because, I mean, Allen Robinson, one of the worst seasons probably the worst season of his career outside of the ACL tear season. So it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't know what to make of this. Like, I don't know much about Matt Eberflus from the Colts coming in as the head coach, defensive coordinator there. I just don't know. Like, we know they also got the Packers QB coach, Luke Getsy, as their new offensive coordinator, which I think that would be good for Justin Fields. I just don't know. We don't have a big enough sample on Justin Fields. Like, I just don't know where the direction of this team's going. And you guys know I love my Chicago Bears, so, like, this is a bummer, man.
You're gonna hate my new column.
Oh no, are you coming after Monty?
No. I'm saying that Justin Fields might be a must-have. in fantasy next season.
Oh, so it's good lead in because I know it was a small sample size, but man, somebody put out a thread either today or yesterday that showed a bunch of just a bunch of Justin Fields passes from towards the end of the season, and I think he was hitting his stride, man. I think he was finding his feet. I think the Bears offense is going to be something to behold. I mean, that's a little hyperbolic. I think the Bears offense is going to be solid with Fields. I think he showed enough, more so than really any of the other rookies. He showed the ceiling that he's capable of. And I mean, I think for people like David Montgomery, especially Darnell Mooney, I think the arrow's pointing up, man. And Cole Kmet.
All right. Yeah. All right. Scott, rounding out this discussion, man, do you have any other people you were in on this season, and are you in or out on them heading into?
So one player I was in on, it's a little bit of a cop-out because everybody was, but I still feel the pain of it, was Trey Sherman. I got stuck in a lot of rookie running back draft capital hype with Trey Sermon.
Like, are we talking like early second round, late first round? Like,
oh yeah, I mean, I think I had him in the drafts I was doing. I was taking him as the first 49er running back, if not him, Mostert.
Oh, in redraft. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So, and I just, I think he had one game where he had the reins to himself this year, and he did okay. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the point was proven. Good players play, and he did not get on the field really at all this year. So I am not going to be in on Trey Sermon. The 49ers have been the one team that show they don't care about draft capital at all when it comes to their running backs. They are not going to use draft capital as some sort of pecking order for their running backs. I mean, if you look at their RB1s over the last 5 years, it's like undrafted and late round.
Yeah.
And the other reason I say that is because I am a huge Elijah Mitchell believer at this point. To me, that dude, I'm not a big film guy, so I'll go cheesy style and say he passed the eye test with me as an NFL running back. And as much as people want to think that Kyle Shanahan runs a bunch of committees, the problem with the San Francisco 49ers backfield is not having a running back that's in a committee. It's having the running back that is going to be the bell cow or be the primary back, but picking the right one. I did a deep dive on that last night. And I mean, since Kyle Shanahan took over, the running back who was the majority carry back of a game got 65% of the running back carries in those 5 years. So that's not running back by committee style. Like I said, the problem is, who is that guy that gets the majority carries in the game? That's been the question. Yeah. And I think that's going to be Elijah Mitchell.
It's going to be him. Deebo Samuel will be probably the RB2. That's kind of what we've seen. Maybe they use him a little less on the ground game next season, but right now Mitchell's the RB1, Samuel's the RB2. Outside of a handcuff to Jeff Wilson, you probably don't want any of these backs. I agree with you there, Scott. Guys, let's go ahead and roll into some weekly advice for the final time this season. It feels a little sad. I know we're going to be back in just two weeks with a new season ready, but it does feel sad. But I am happy to say once again that it is presented by Monkey Knife Fight. Monkey Knife Fight has been an awesome company to partner with so far this season. If you want to get involved with Monkey Knife Fight, they have all the sports we cover here: IBT, football, UFC, golf, PGA. NASCAR is coming back here this week. We got the Busch Clash, so going to be a lot of fun out there in the Oakland Coliseum. So go over to Monkey Knife Fight, use that promo code IBT. You're going to get a free $5 game. You're going to get 100% instant match deposit up to $100, baby. Again, promo code IBT, Monkey Knife Fight. Get on these other games, these other sports we're talking about here at In Between Media. They're going to have a lot of fun Super Bowl stuff, too, that we'll cover here on the DFS Tailgate Super Bowl weekend, baby. So let's go ahead. Let's get into weekly advice.
Weekly advice.
All right, weekly advice. Nate, I thought, we could kind of split this up a little fantasy-wise, a little, life-wise. A lot has happened. We launched the new season of the podcast last February, almost a year, in the past now. Like so much shit has happened, bro,
It's crazy that it's been a year since we started my second season on this show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You're about to go into season 3 with us, buddy. Season 4 of the pod overall. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. But I thought we would kind of just look back. Let's just look back quickly at some of our worst and best takes of the season, and then we can talk about our favorite memories as well. Nate, kick it off, man. What you got for us, bro?
Well, I already talked about this. I said that Sam Darnold would be a QB1. Yeah, I was so wrong, and I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
I also missed on LaVisca Chenault, so there's that. But I think Sam Darnold was the worst take I had because I was pounding the table and I was taking him early in drafts, and it just did. Yeah, that was
dude. I mean, there was an entire clan of fantasy analysts who team Visca this season, and it just did not work out. You know, like it's interesting, Nate, because like you saw the shit show of Urban Meyer coming, but you were still like engaged enough to go after like you know.
Here's my thought was that he's such a that multi-tool type college player,
right?
That Urban Meyer would be like, oh yeah, I can use this, and he'd use him. And Trevor Lawrence, just being a rookie from Clemson, it made sense that he'd get more usage. He didn't.
Yeah.
I'm not out on him for next year, though.
Yeah. So Bengals, my worst take from this year, and I put it out pretty quickly after this happened, but Bengals, I had that they made a bad decision on drafting Jamar Chase over Penny Sewell. I mean, honestly, like, I'm not going to say I was out on Jamar Chase because I wasn't at all. I had got him in a handful of drafts. He carried me in some leagues, but I just did. I thought the Bengals, they're going to do Bengal shit, and
we all thought that.
And Sewell's been okay, but like he doesn't even look like the best offensive lineman maybe in this draft. So that's kind of a bummer. I think just overall, I'm going to devalue offensive linemen a little more in the draft. Like, I was used to the Steelers going after so many offensive linemen for years and just teams building around those young O linemen. We saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do it in 2020, won the Super Bowl with the first round pick on the offensive line. But I mean, when you can get a generational talent outside the numbers, like I think more than ever, wide receivers are more important in the game. So
I would argue that guys like Tony Baselli and Anthony Munoz, who went in the first round of drafts and are now in the Hall of Fame, were arguably some of the most impactful players of their draft.
Right. But I'll say, like, the one thing I was actually thinking about over the weekend, I would love to hear feedback on this as well. I don't want to get too much off topic here, but I felt like the teams with the best 4 wide receivers, give or take, made it to the Final Four. Deebo Samuel, 49ers, Cooper Kupp, the Rams, Jamar Chase, the Bengals, and Tyreek Hill, you can argue with, like, I put him with Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson. Like, any of those 3, I think, would kind of be in that top 4 discussion. But I just think these receivers this season played such a huge part. I was surprised.
I mean, the way that the NFL is going these days, that makes sense. Like, Deebo's a multi-tool guy. So,
yeah.
I mean, if you take it even, the Packers with Adams, the Buccaneers with Evans and Godwin, made it to the divisional rounds. So it's true. I mean, there were a lot of people that were knocking that going with Chase over Sewell.
A lot of people.
We've all seen the meme, with him throwing. Yeah. And we've all seen it change. It's been kind of funny, actually, how it's changed this year. When Chase would have a good game or Chase would have a bad game, that specific meme would change.
Yeah.
And I agree with Nate. I mean, you could hit on a potential Hall of Fame offensive lineman for sure. But
it's rare.
It's rare.
It's rare, but it does happen.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Garrett Bowles.
Yeah, I mean, I think I
don't know who Garrett Bowles is, Nate. I'm gonna be honest.
The Broncos offensive lineman who gets called for holding constantly, but he was a first-round pick. Okay.
What
little Broncos humor?
What round or what year was he drafted?
I
know Dalton Reisner. I like Dalton.
That was the year they passed on Josh Allen.
Okay, word. Okay, word.
Bowles over Allen.
Word sounds good. Scott, what was your worst take overall here, you think, in 2021?
One of my worst takes, again, not an uncommon one, but a very, very consequential one, was having Ayuk over Deebo Samuel. Now, this is definitely one where it's easy to be like, well, hindsight, But the problem is I really liked Deebo Samuel. I liked him coming into this season. I've always thought, because I've seen him play more than a lot of other players in Seahawks 49ers games. I remember I was always just like, who's that dude that they can't tackle ever?
Man.
So I don't know, I got sucked in. And I mean, the thing about Ayuk is much like Trey Sherman, it was really hard to predict what happened at the start of this year for the 49ers. No one really saw all that coming. But in this case, I wish I would have stuck to my guns a little bit more in my liking of Deebo Samuel, because, you can't win your, all the cliches about you can't win your draft in the first round, but you can lose it and all this kind of stuff. It's like, I had 15 leagues this year. I won one ring, one championship. That one championship team had Deebo Samuel on it. I just think that miss was pretty huge with how much of an impact Deebo Samuel ended up having.
Dude, like I had Deebo, I pounded the floor in early 2020 for Deebo Samuel. I had him in a lot of leagues in 2020, and he burned me. He burned me in 2020 because he was never healthy. You could never play him. But I mean, I barely had any of them this year. I burned me,
And I got to say, man, my heart went out. Like, if you've seen the footage and the photos of Deebo after the game, heartbroken. Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
Wasn't there a shot, or who was it? Was it Ramsey? Somebody was giving him a hug, and like,
yeah.
That's the other thing too about these playoffs, man. Like, I don't remember seeing two players do more for their team to win and still lose than Josh Allen against the Chiefs and Deebo against the Rams.
Right.
That touchdown pass by Garoppolo to Deebo was just beautiful.
Yeah.
That run after the catch was just amazing.
That's what you've been hyping up all year, Scott, that yak baby.
Yeah, he's the yak monster for sure.
Nate, round us out here, man. Who was your biggest, or what was your biggest, your best take here of the 2021 season that directly impacted our listeners, our readers, everyone here that interacts with us on socials as well?
When Rashad Penny came back from IR, I said, go get Rashad Penny. Chris Carson's pretty much done for the year. Alex Collins was hurt at the time. They were basically rolling Travis Homer and DJ Dallas. And I saw it, and it took a couple weeks. But man, if you went and you got him and you had him in the fantasy playoffs, forget about it.
I'll credit you, Nate, too, because you mentioned him twice in your column. Once, I think, in week 7, and then he got hurt again. And you mentioned him again, I think maybe week 9 or week 10, like after he came back from that, short stunt on the injury list. But you were right.
His rostership was still so low that week.
I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised, man. Like, you guys know me. I'm a little bit of a DJ Dallas guy. I think DJ Dallas can play, Look out for that guy. I'm just going to say it. But
DJ Dallas breakout year 2027.
2027, baby. I'll be here. I think I might have a beard by then too, actually. That'd be cool.
Are you starting?
Well, if you don't shave, yeah, right. Just don't shave between now and then. It'll look like this.
Rashad Penny, though, I love that, Nate. Nate, your waiver wire column, man, it's invaluable to us here at IBT Media. So thank you for continuing to pump that out. And Rashad,
at the time I told you guys to get Adrian Peterson. My bad.
I think that's all our bad. Scott, round us out, man. Best take of the season.
So I held my ground, and I kept Joe Mixon as a preseason RB1.
Only one of us, yeah.
In my rankings. Joe Mixon had he's just morphed into this super polarizing player. And I get it kinda, but like at the same time, there's a lot of other players who have been hit and miss and burn people. But Mixon, for some reason, just stirs the pot when you talk about him. So it was pretty simple for me, though, with Mixon is again, another one of those players, much like Josh Jacobs, where I was never saying he's the RB1. The problem a lot of times with fantasy discussions is it's either they're the best or bury him. There's no, there's no in between.
No. Like, just for reference, Scott, you were the only one who had him anywhere near an RB1 this season. I had him down at RB18. Dave had him at RB20. So you were at RB11, and that was like, like you looked like the outlier to us at that time.
Yeah, and I mean, to me it was the other reason why I wasn't really concerned about Najee Harris. People were concerned about the O-line and about his efficiency, and I didn't care because I knew Joe Mixon and Najee Harris were probably going to be close to the top of the league in running back rush share for sure. It was going to be volume, like he was going to get the volume.
Yeah.
And what Mixon showed this year is he has those pass catching chops. He had a couple long TD receptions, and long receptions. So,
and he was valuable here in the AFC Championship. Kind of like took that game into his own hands at the last drive as well.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is like you'll have Joe Mixon. He's one of those running backs where the first half will be slugging along in a game, and he's at 10 carries for 21 yards, and everybody comes out because nobody knows how long football games are apparently, and starts trashing on Joe Mixon. And it's like, that's just, it reminds me a little bit of watching Lynch back in the day. He sometimes wouldn't have the greatest of first halves, but he just keeps on pounding and, more of a second half guy. So I thought surely by volume, he was going to end up as a low end RB1.
All right. Fair enough. I'll close it out here. I'll say two words, baby. Playoff Lenny. Playoff Lenny.
That was a good call.
In. He was he was that mid-tier, mid-late round guy that I was going after in all the drafts. He was RB31 off the board in ADP according to Fantasy Pros. So like 7th round you're looking at. I got him in the 10th round in Scott Fishbowl, 1 pick behind Rojo. But oh, that sucker, baby.
I took Rojo ahead of Fournette and Scott Fishbowl.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry. A lot of us did.
I had Rojo ahead of Fournette.
I will say though, like, man, I don't know. Like, I think the playoffs matter for like I'm paying attention. I'm taking the data from these playoffs, putting it a little bit towards next season. And Leonard Fournette was just one of those examples, man. I'm really sad that Tom Brady's leaving because those targets are gonna probably not ever be as good as what they were with Tom Brady, but Lenny at least is going to get himself a bag, whether that's in Tampa or probably somewhere else, because I don't think they can afford him, especially maybe now without Brady, but I don't know if they will bring him back without Brady. So it's sad to see, man, but he was a stud. He was a stud. I hope he listened. Yada, yada, yada.
Question is, if Fournette leaves Tampa Bay, is the Rojo train going to have one more run or not?
I think if anything, I think they'll let them both walk. I think they'll sign Lenny back before they'll sign Rojo. I think if anything, the Keyshawn Vaughn truthers of the world can crawl out of their rock.
That was a good call, though. Fournette was a great call. I mean, I was looking at his numbers, and like without the injury, he honestly did have an outside path to the overall RB1.
Oh yeah,
it was in the cards.
Yeah. All right, guys, we talked best take, worst take. Nate, I want to throw things to you, man. You've been, kind of by my side these last 2 years as we've conquered in between media. We've grown so much since then. Back in the day,
it's crazy.
It's absolutely crazy, and the support we have from this in between family is incredible. Everyone on the staff, all our audience members out there. What are your favorite memories from the 2021 season, man? Just go at it.
Well, first, Canton. Like, I got to meet all you guys in person. Scott's going to be there this year. That was a blast. And getting to know people in the industry and making connections with people that have continued on. Getting to go to the Demaryius Thomas tribute game this season in Denver against Detroit was really neat. He was a player that I loved, followed him his whole career, loved him in Denver, had some big moments for this team. It was real sad to see him pass, and to be able to be there for that tribute, as kind of lame as it was on the organization's part, it was really cool thing to be a part of. And I hadn't been to a game since Tebow. So,
wow.
Right.
Well, I guess outside of the Manning years, you picked a good time not to go.
Well, before that, the last game I'd been to was when Jason Elam kicked a 63-yarder against the Carolina Panthers.
Wow.
In 1998,
Wow.
99. And Darian Gordon had 2 punt returns for a touchdown.
Awesome.
So I'm old, bro. And then, like, I don't know, dude, the season in general was cool. We got back into our basement, got to be able to watch our multi-screen football experience, which the fact that my wife will do that with me is pretty dope. And Jackson started, right? And Jackson started to get into football this season. Yeah, it was a great season, dude. And everything that we did with in between the different shows and the different guests and just all of the things has been so much fun. Growing with our writing, growing as a company, building, doing amazing things. It was a great year.
Yeah, thank you for that, Nate, man. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure having you, riding shotgun with me, brother. I appreciate you guys. Scott, out there in Seattle, man, what's it been like this, 2021 season? This was your first full season immersed in the fantasy football industry. What are your favorite memories from it, man?
Oh man, like there's so many. I mean, this whole experience has really changed my life in so many good ways, to be honest. The world's been nuts for my whole life, really. But I mean, it's been extra nuts for the last few years. And like having this space as an outlet for me to make myself available as an outlet for other people if they need it, and to keep myself busy with something I'm very passionate about. It's, I'm not going to say like, I don't know how things would have gone had I not jumped in my life, but I know they've gone very well because I did. I've met tons of great people. I unfortunately was not able to meet people in person at the expo, but I've interacted digitally, mostly on Twitter, with a ton of great people. It's like, I feel like I'm meeting somebody great new every day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people around, and, I think it's pretty invaluable. Like, and a lot of the conversations I've got into with people outside of football, with people that are in this community, but talking about other things like mental health and like addiction, and, offering up like, hey, if anybody needs to talk about these things, like that's been hugely beneficial for me. So, and I mean, what can I say about in between media? I mean, it's crazy. Like it was in November, I sent out a tweet like, hey, it's been a year now. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
It's like, I was going through my columns yesterday or something, and I have like 16 columns I've already written now.
Yeah.
It's like an actual portfolio of work that I'm building, and I owe that all to in between media. So I mean, it's just like, it's Nate and I talk about this all the time. It's just like, are you still pinching yourself, dude? It's like, yep, still pinching myself. Somebody asked for my advice and wanted it. Like that still blows my mind. So, and then, I mean, honestly, like I said before, another memorable thing about this season was the last 6 games we just got to watch as a pure football fan. I didn't have a dog in the fight. The Super Bowl actually played out to not be any teams I'm really rooting against. So that's great. But man, were we blessed with some amazing football the last few weeks.
Thank you, Scott. That's super powerful stuff, man. As always, I'm happy to have played a small role in your journey, man. And I think Nate can say the same.
Yep, absolutely, man. So glad to have you a part of this. Like, look at us now, Scott.
Yeah,
I know. I painted my office. I got a ring light.
Ooh,
moving on up.
Yes, let's go, man. Guys, I mean, it's hard. It's hard for me to put into what the 2021 season means into words for me, because the amount of growth I've had personally, we've had as a company, has been otherworldly. Honestly, the stories I've been able to tell, whether it's through our podcast, bringing on people like Field and Scott and Herms and Robbie and Jaywalk and all these important conversations that we need to hear. I got some of the best motivational advice ever from Field Yates, a guy I've looked up to my whole life. And, telling the story of FYF, Front Yard Fantasy, Dave Kluge, the young fantasy football mind, Hutchinson Brown, like telling these stories have all, helped shape me, and they helped me believe in myself so much more than I ever did before. Like, I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for this industry, for this community, for this company, and you guys. Not a lot of people are willing to bet on a 22-year-old kid at that time. So I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you guys have done for me.
To
Everyone,
be fair, I thought you were older than me for most of that phone call.
I mean, man, it's unreal, man. It is. And, everyone who does something here in between media, whether it's Katie, Jen, Griff, TS, our back end editors, whether it's Kyle, who's here listening to us talk every single week, talk about fantasy, talk about life. He edits it. He doesn't only just listen to it once live. He re-listens to it again as he edits it. So, I mean, hats off to him. Hats off to Scott. Everything you do with Pulp Fantasy has been amazing. Nate, you holding down the DFS guys over there, Connor and Bo, that has been amazing as well.
Iron Fist.
Yeah. Our guy Michael Short, man, making all our graphic videos.
He's that dude for sure.
Yeah.
All our writers, Mike Talanko, Dave Stewart, everyone who has contributed to this, Elliot Hicks, our NASCAR guys, Jared Bakaiza, everyone, man. And there's so many people out there in the industry who have helped us, given me advice along the way. And it's unreal. And I couldn't have done this without every single one of you guys. We wouldn't be where we are now without every single one of you guys. So thank you. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to our mentors. Thank you to our friends of the show. Just echoing what you guys said. It's all been a journey, man. The games have been a lot of fun. Katie and I rooted so hard for Joe Burrow and the Bengals, man. Like you would think we were at a Cincy bar this weekend. So it's been a blast, guys. I really can't believe we're about to do it, but I think we're about to head out. Season 4 is among us. We're about to jump into that.
Let's go.
Any final words? We got the Super Bowl here in about a week and a half. The Busch Classic NASCAR kicks off this week, so a lot of fun stuff happening. Maybe life will get somewhat back to normal, what it was pre-2020 and 2022. Final thoughts, Nate, Scott, seal the deal here, guys.
All right. I just wanted to give a little, I guess, advice or whatever. If you are watching or whatever, and you're new to content creation, you see it pop up every now and then people asking like for advice and that sort of thing. And so I'm just going to offer a little tiny bit of advice because I'm still new to content creation, but I'm a year further into it than I was when I was very new to content creation.
Yes, sir.
So you've probably heard it before, but for one, be yourself. And two, just keep swimming. Like in Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. I'm just as guilty of this as other people, where sometimes I'll get down on myself because of the lack of likes or retweets or follows or anything like that. But take it from me, I'm not saying that stuff doesn't matter at all. I'm just saying that you never know who's looking at your stuff. I got a few pretty memorable follows this year from people I highly respect who personally said, "Hey, keep up the good work. I'm enjoying your work." They hadn't necessarily clicked like on anything I'd ever done. I didn't necessarily have any way of knowing that they had seen any of my work. I'm just assuming they were telling the truth.
Right?
But you know what I mean? You just don't know. So that's kind of what I've done. I have anxiety issues. I have confidence issues, just like a lot of people. And there's plenty of days where I'm just I'm not good enough. Nobody's interacting, blah, blah, blah. And what I've done in those situations, the way I combat that now is I'm just all right, I'm going to dig into some stats. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep working. So just when you get to those places where you really feel like it's not happening or no one cares, people do. Just keep doing it. Just keep doing it, especially if you like it, if you enjoy doing it. Just keep doing it. People will notice. Yeah.
Nate, final thoughts, words of advice, man. You come here as a fantasy analyst, a father, a husband, a chef. You have a lot of different hats, Nate.
Carpenter.
Carpenter, yeah. Real estate agent extraordinaire.
Real estate agent. So I never say never. I've had a lot of things going on in this specific industry lately, and opportunities presenting themselves and conversations I'm having with people. If you would have told me 2 years ago that this is what I would be doing in my life, I would have told you were crazy, because I've always wanted to do this and there was no way it would ever happen. I emailed, this was probably like, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. We have a friend who has a dog grooming business. One of her clients is a local news broadcast sports guy at one of the like major stations here. And I asked her, I was like, can I have his email? Because I'd like some advice for breaking in. And I emailed him, and basically what he told me was, if you don't go to broadcasting school and know a million people, you're never going to work in sports. So just give it up.
Well, he didn't know you, that's for sure.
And now here I am.
Yeah.
You never know what life will bring you.
Yeah.
That's all. Like, just be open to it and be prepared for it, and don't stop believing.
I love it. Don't stop believing, baby. We're going to keep believing throughout the offseason, guys. If I could give you any advice, it's what I've learned this season. Bet on yourself, Bet on yourself, man. There's going to be people out there who tell you can't and you're not good enough, but you are. Whatever you do in life, however you want to spend that, you're good enough. Put your mind to something. Bet on yourself. The unknown's scary. The in-between can be scary, but it also can be a beautiful ride. So we're going to continue to ride this thing. We're going to be back, and give us 2 weeks. We'll be back here on February 23rd. We're going to be talking Super Bowl, talking about 2022, outlook for fantasy football, outlook for life. So stay tuned with us throughout that. A lot of good content coming for you this offseason. If you're not already, make yourself a member of the In-Between family. Go over to our Patreon. Get involved with us. We want to interact with you guys. So Nate, Scott, Kyle, thank you guys so much for all the hard work this season. Jen as well, who's not here with us tonight, but was on with us last week. Thank you guys all for your help. Excited to be back with you here, talking the 2022 season in just a couple weeks. Guys, until then, keep it in between, baby. See you next time.
The In-Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
The one thing that really sets us apart here is we're not afraid to talk about other things that maybe aren't super fantasy related.
Do what you can to become a better person.